Michael Brown. Top U.S. military and diplomatic officials warned they had no intention of easing their maximum pressure campaign against Iran, even as evidence suggests the regime in Tehran is lashing out in increasingly dangerous ways. But despite the rapidly rising tensions in the Middle East, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeii told reporters Tuesday the U.S. is not looking to start a war, though much will depend on what Tehran does next.
The responsibility for diplomacy, achieving the strategic outcomes that President Trump has sent forth, falls on all of us, but the State Department has the first oar in the water on that. But we can't do that without making sure that we have the capability to respond if Iran makes a bad decision.
Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer says the Trump administration's policy toward Iran is not consistent.
I don't know what their strategy is, and it doesn't seem consistent. It seems when the president wakes up one morning, he says something, and then 2 days later he says something else. One day he says he's going to obliterate them, and the next day he says he wants to talk to them.
Concern about a potential confrontation between the United States and Iran has been growing since the U.S. officials last week accused Iran of being responsible for mine attacks on 2 oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has denied any involvement on the attacks against the oil tankers, but announced Monday it would cease complying with the global agreement that prevents it from making nuclear weapons. In response, the U.S. announced it would deploy another 1,000 troops to help protect U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria that are currently helping in the effort to wipe out remnants of the Islamic State terror group. President Trump kicked off his re-election campaign at a rally in Orlando, Florida, one of the swing states that fueled his policy-defined victory in 2016. Trump recalled what he says was a movement that propelled him to victory 4 years ago. From here in Washington, this is VOA News. The president promoted issues like border and security and trade tariffs and chastised the media and the Democrats during his speech Tuesday night.
It's a movement made up of hard-working patriots who love their country, love their flag, love their children, and who believe that a nation must care for its own citizens first.
Spotlighting the Russia issue and other controversies surrounding his presidency, President Trump continued to hammer at the Democrats. In the past 50 years, with the exception of Bill Clinton in 1992, the road to the White House has always included Florida. Hong Kong's chief executive, Carrie Lam, is apologizing for the political crisis and unrest sparked by a controversial extradition bill. The bill would have allowed extradition to mainland China. Lam says work on the bill was over until it expires in July next year, and she pledged to stay and finish the remainder of her term. Members of the Civil Human Rights Front and Hong Kong say they're angry that Lam is refusing to step down.
Carrie Lam just chose to say sorry, and that's all, and totally ignore the request of Hong Kong citizens.
Opposition to the bill has driven repeated mass protests in Hong Kong this month alone. A powerful earthquake jolted northwestern Japan late Tuesday, causing minor injuries to nearly 24 people and a brief evacuation of coastal homes till the risk of a tsunami passed. Business resumed as normal early, and electricity was restored to thousands who lost power temporarily. There were no reports of serious damage from the magnitude 6.7 earthquake. A tsunami warning was lifted after just over 2 hours. Federal authorities announced one of the largest drug busts in the U.S. in history of the country. Agents seized more than 16 million tons of cocaine from a Liberian flag cargo ship at the Packer Marine Terminal in Philadelphia. Cocaine has an estimated street value of $1 billion. Several crew members are also facing federal charges. The ship bound for Europe arrived in Philadelphia early Tuesday after making stops in Chile, Panama, and the Bahamas. Agents have not yet provided details of their operation. And the U.S. said Tuesday is seeking a comprehensive peace agreement with the Taliban that would cover counterterrorism assurances, withdrawal of American troops from Afghanistan, intra-Afghan talks to find a political settlement to the war and a permanent ceasefire. The chief U.S. peace negotiator said the Taliban accepts the framework of the agreement. For details on much more news, please join us at our website, voanews.com, or on the VOA mobile app. I'm Michael Brown, VOA News.